Lane Kiffin absolutely owned Paul Finebaum in his own house. And you know what? He deserved it.
You are Locked On Ole Miss, your daily podcast on the Ole Miss Rebels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, I'm Steven Willis, host of the Locked On Ole Miss Podcast, and this is a Locked On Ole Miss Extra short, however you want to look at it, but it's just a little brief thing that I didn't think warranted a full podcast or even a segment, so we're going to talk a little bit about it here. And today we're talking about Paul Finebaum kind of taking it on the chin from Lane Kiffin, and on Lane Kiffin's appearance Monday on the Paul Finebaum show. We've seen the post from Brad Logan, we've seen the transcripts. And the result of all of this is Lane Kiffin and Paul Finebaum are not friends. I think Lane Kiffin actually blames him for his firing on the tarmac, the lowest moment in Lane Kiffin's life. He attributes that directly to Paul Finebaum. And it came out on his show when he was doing his interviews like, listen, you started making fun of me and lampooning me and calling me the Miley Cyrus of college football and all of that stuff. And the two people in the room, the athletic director and all of that, were watching that and they were kind of shaking their heads. And his source of that was a third person that was in the room seeing that happening. And Lane Kiffin ended up getting fired on the tarmac that night after a loss, I think, to Arizona State, which he calls the lowest moment of his entire career, potentially life. And Paul Finebaum has obviously been out of shape. Paul Finebaum is famously a Tennessee Volunteer graduate, even though he, pits Auburn fans against Alabama fans and all of that over and over. He is a Tennessee Volunteer graduate. Lane Kiffin left Tennessee for USC. Paul Finebaum maybe got some revenge there, but Kiffin clearly blames Paul Finebaum for his USC tarmac firing. So when Paul Finebaum started taking pot shots, I guess earlier this week, a little bit, 2 weeks ago, maybe, he had an interview with Barry Thamel from the Tulsa World. It was basically a couple old newspaper guys that were acting like they were better and everything, and Paul Finebaum was talking about Lane Kiffin's not fun. It was really similar in tone to he is the Miley Cyrus of college football and all of that stuff. So I can see where Lane Kiffin said, okay, we're going to fight back this time. This time you're going to have to deal with me because Ole Miss isn't letting me go. They're not going to tarmac fire me in July 14th or whatever the date is. So I'm going to go ahead and call my shot. And he did that. And Paul Finebaum looked like just flabbergasted. It's like, I cannot believe this is happening right now. Because Paul Finebaum's whole stick is, hey, we need to say something explosive, bring engagement, all of that stuff. And then whenever you're talking to him to his face, they're going to be buddy-buddy with you. It's a snake in the grass type thing, that whether or not you can trust him or not. And that has been his stick for 25, 30 years. He kind of glory hunts. He is a major cleat chaser. He was a huge friend, obviously, where he sucked up to Nick Saban. He did that before with Steve Spurrier. And obviously he was a fan of Phil Fulmer and had some kind of inside information there. But because of this Lane Kiffin stuff coming to a little bit of a head, Lane Kiffin kind of got this out of his system. And this relationship will be something worth watching as Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin moves forward, especially in the most anticipated football season in Ole Miss history. Will this affect how Paul Finebaum promotes Ole Miss? Because he works for the SEC network. Don't give me journalistic integrity. Don't give me anti-bias and all of that stuff. He literally works for the conference and for the TV partner of the conference. So don't give me bias. So it comes down to how much is Paul Finebaum going to be willing to promote Ole Miss on a season that everybody thinks they have a chance to make the playoff. If he doesn't do it, if he has a burr in his saddle, if he's butthurt, that'll be readily apparent to everybody involved. Again, not many people have much respect for the talking head Paul Finebaum. I think a lot of people have respect for the fact that he's been able to make it into millions of dollars. But just his public persona, there's not a lot of respect there. And I get that. That's fine. I don't want people to even care about respecting me at all. As long as you're watching, that's all I care about. So in that way, I'm really similar to Paul. But you have to understand that Ole Miss's season, this most anticipated football season in Ole Miss history, it kind of comes down to who the conference wants to promote. And their biggest mouthpiece that they have, for better or for worse, is Paul Finebaum. Lane Kiffin absolutely owned him in his own house, shocked him. If you look at the expression on his face, and everybody is talking about what's going on. But that doesn't change the fact that Paul Finebaum did it. He decided to use Lane Kiffin to try and make a name for himself with the mothership, with the worldwide leader. He used that. Lane Kiffin ended up getting fired, and now the chickens might be coming home to roost a little bit. Anyway, this has been an extra short on Ole Miss football. From time to time, I'm going to do these during the season whenever they don't really necessarily warrant a segment or a full show, but we'll see what's going on. Anyway, take care. We'll see you later. Hotty toddy.